All righty, everybody, we are back. Excuse me, we are back live, coming to you live at 101.5 FM WLCB, Slade's Corners, Wisconsin. Welcome back, everybody. This is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, and this is your Insurance Corner. And for the next hour, my partner Sean and I are going to mesmerize you, make you think, make you laugh, make you pause, and hopefully get you to think about the stuff that we're talking about. We talk every week about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, Social Security, estate planning, long-term care, all of these things that are real in people's lives, and each and every one of us has to pay attention to these things because at some point, something's going to happen, and you have to be prepared. As we say in the risk management business, be prepared for the worst case scenario, and if you've got that covered, everything else is easy. If you can't insure the worst case scenario because it's too expensive, I hate to say it, but cross your fingers. Hopefully nothing happens, but definitely insure those things that you can afford to insure and take care of the things that you know you have to take care of, because at the end of the day, things like medical expenses, people passing away, possibly long-term care, retirement planning, all of these things, folks, are going to happen to the vast majority of us. The role of this program is to educate you as much as humanly possible within the hour and make you think and take action, whether you talk to somebody like me or your own advisor. Do what you need to do to make yourself in a better position. So my name is Bill Miksch. I'm president of WDMI Financial Group in Grayslake, Illinois, where we are now licensed in 16 states. As of yesterday, Ohio is the latest rendition of being licensed. And with that in mind, the man, the legend, the way of life, coming to you from the bunkers somewhere buried in Columbus, Ohio, Sean Hauser.
Hey, Bill, how you doing tonight? Being in the bunkers, as you say, might have been the best place for me today. The neighborhood that I'm in had a visit from the Ohio Senator Bertie Moreno today.
Oh.
And so there were policemen and, SWAT teams and probably bomb-sniffing dogs. God only knows what. So I'm staying safely in the bunker.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome, Sean. How's your weekend?
Weekend was good. I started working on painting in the basement and getting a room ready so I can turn it into storage for all the junk that I should probably throw out.
Yeah, so. we have another house in our basement at the moment, and given our collective schedules, it's just challenging to get down there. And at the same time, I don't think any of that stuff has been touched, almost with the exception of maybe some fishing equipment in the last 4 or 5 years, which means technically most all of that can go. But you know how that goes. The moment you start going down, it's like, oh, I've been looking for this. That's where that went. So.
Yeah. I recently moved the last time about 2 years ago, and I found boxes that were probably still packed from when I moved 3 houses ago, and now I've brought them to Ohio. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and we've got one section where just stuff for Randy, and he lives in a small apartment in Tampa, so we can't just unload it just yet because I don't think he can handle the room, let alone, the kid, unfortunately, doesn't even have a couch yet in his apartment. It's just a futon and a television. Our son, Ryan, is unfortunately not his fault. Things happen. He moved into an area in Chicago, and it turned out that it was really sketchy. And so after about a month of living there, he's moving back, which I am 100% happy about, just for no other reason, for his safety, but a learned lesson there because most of the rents, folks, in Chicago, if you want to live downtown, you're looking at $2,000 to $2,400, depending on how nice of an area you want to live in. This particular apartment, which was on the ground floor, it's a 3-flat, was roughly about $1,500. So that's the reason it got his attention. He's like, oh, and this is very nice. It's got a fireplace. It's exactly what I need. What he didn't know was the neighborhood kind of wakes up about 11 o'clock at night. And yeah, not the least of which are blaring music across from his apartment, the boom da da boom da da boom coming from the car. They close the car, they open the windows, and then whoever was in the car goes to another house and spends God only knows how long they're going to be there. And this is 11, 12 o'clock at night that this stuff is going on. I don't think he heard any gunshots, thank God. But there was one night where there was 4 or 5 cops walking around his apartment. And that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. He's like, what the heck is going on around here? So, this is not about I told you so. This is a learned lesson. As you know, Sean, it's location, location, location. It's not about how much does it cost. I mean, that's important, but if you end up in Englewood, you're not going to be happy. So, a couple things that are happening. Engaging Time, which is yours truly, that's my stage name when I'm playing guitar, is performing this Friday and Saturday in Antioch, Illinois. I've got a short set between 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night. And then sometime on Saturday, I think it's at 3 o'clock. We'll see. I'm going to put something on my Facebook page. Here's the challenge, though, Sean. As you guys know, I'm just coming off influenza A, and I still have a bit of laryngitis. So my singing capacity at the moment is, at best, limited. In particular, I cannot falsetto. And all that means, folks, is that I can't go to a high note when I need to. And that's problematic because one of the songs requires it, dare I say. And so we'll see. So if anybody has any ideas and you're listening, please send me whatever you can send me. I'm doing tea and honey. I'm doing the hot water over the stove with the towel over my head. I know a lot of people say don't talk. Well, that's impossible doing what I do for a living. Not the least of which is I'm on the show for an hour and Sean and I are sharing the mic. But as I like to say, I'm the mouthpiece and he's the brains. So I'm the one that does a lot of the talking and then Sean straightens me out. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, I think so. I was just thinking what you could do is do a Joe Cocker cover set. And then, Nick, I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket anyway, so you've been fine.
Well, you're not wrong. A good singer, if you liked his style of singing. Another one was Dylan. Awesome songwriter, but I just, that nasally tone that he came across, I give him kudos for all the songs he wrote and the storytelling and all of that. Just not my cup of tea. Any more folks than rap. I tip my hat to those guys who can do rap. That's a great talent. It's just not my thing. I'll tip my hat.
That'd be a little bit scary, Bill.
What's that?
You rap. That would be a little bit scary to hear you rap.
If I rapped, oh my gosh, that would be a challenge. Couple things. Baseball started today, Sean. I don't know if you saw, but the Cubs were playing at 5 o'clock this morning in Japan, and against the Dodgers, and Dodgers predictably beat the snot out of the Cubs. It was actually, I actually was up watching the game. I woke up early, not because of the Cubs, just because I got 8 hours of sleep for once. And I woke up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and Imanaga, who was the Cubs starting pitcher, actually had a no-hitter through 3 innings. and then they threw some guy in there and let up and then the water opened up, and that was over.
Dam broke.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard, but about 5 o'clock this afternoon Central Time, the astronauts who were stranded up in the space station have splashed down in the Atlantic Ocean. I think somewhere near the Bahamas, but don't hold me to that. But they definitely splashed down. So those astronauts who were stuck up there for 9 months are now back home. You can almost see a movie coming out of this. So, so we'll see where that goes. For what it's worth, a big kudos to SpaceX and Elon Musk and the engineers and the staff who worked to get those guys back home. I know Elon owns SpaceX, and he is the reason why SpaceX exists. But without his team, Elon doesn't bring him home. His team brought him home. So Elon deserves the credit, but so do the people that were behind the scenes helping everybody get home. So kudos to them. So, Sean, did you see the announcement of what we wanted to chat about tonight?
I did.
All right. So there's been, folks, we're going to talk about Social Security. Medicare sort of, kind of, but mostly Social Security, because there's been a lot of chatter on these talking heads and the radio and these programs on television ad nauseum. And most of the discussion has to do with the 7,000 jobs being cut by Social Security. Let's do a reality check. There are 57,000 employees that work at Social Security. 7,000 people, and let me just put this in perspective. And nobody should ever have to lose their job. But it happens in the private sector all the time, folks. When a company is starting to lose money or is taking in more debt than cash, the first thing that has to go is people, because your payroll is the largest item on your budget. It's not workers' comp. It's not health insurance. The government might have a little bit of different issues because they got Social Security and interest on the debt and this and that. But from a practical matter, your payroll is your biggest line item. 7,000 people is a lot. Don't misunderstand. But it's only 12% of their population, and it is a wonder to me that we've had layoffs all around the country. A couple months ago, Meta laid off 3,800 people. Boeing has laid off people. God knows the car dealer, the Detroit is on and off with people being laid off and furloughed or whatever. Elon Musk, when he bought Twitter, laid off 80% of the employees at that time. That you have to stop the bleeding in order to survive. And as a owner of a company, if you have to cut staff to survive, that's what you have to do. And the government, folks, is $37 trillion in debt. Set that number aside for a moment. The budget is $6 trillion. They only take in $4 trillion. So they're spending $2 trillion more than they're taking in. Something has to give. Whether it's DOGE, Bush, Reagan, Clinton, Trump, or Jesus Christ himself, somebody has got to take the reins and make the tough decisions. And unfortunately, people have to be let go. What's interesting, Sean, is that I know the federal government is unionized. That's almost like negotiating with yourself. I never get that part. But set that aside too. It's interesting, all these people, the unions run to the courts, they can't fire me, and some court judge decides, oh, you couldn't fire those people. Why? Why? No offense. Why? If we're bleeding, I need to stop the bleeding. So it's not complicated. And then the other hyperbole is, benefits are going to be cut. People aren't going to be able to manage their Social Security. Well, if you don't have a computer, that's a problem. I get it. And there's a lot of elderly, particularly in their 70s or 80s, that may not have a computer. Hopefully they've got family members who do. I mean, there's workarounds, but for these places that are having to be cut, it may require people to drive longer places if they're going to try to get a one-on-one. I will tell you, trying to get a one-on-one appointment with somebody in Social Security is very difficult. Just set that aside. And it doesn't make it any easier that even now, before the cuts, you could be on the phone for an hour before you get to somebody at Social Security, or longer, depending on the day you call. So will 7,000 people being cut from Social Security make that phone call a little longer? It might. Depends on what time you call. There are good times to call and not so good times to call. Like Monday morning, not a good time. Wednesday afternoon, maybe. Who knows? But do some homework. But don't just jump off the deep end and go, they're cutting Social Security. No, they're cutting staff. They're cutting staff. So, but let's talk about the Social Security. And Sean, I'm going to start with a history lesson first. So bear with me, because there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of points that I want to cover here in a short period of time. So Social Security was started in August 14th, 1935. It was signed into law by President Roosevelt, FDR. On January 1st, 1937, the first Social Security check was paid out. It was a one-time lump sum. On August 10th, 1939, the program was expanded to include dependents and survivors of deceased people who passed away. On January 31st, 1940, a lady named Ida Fuller was the first recipient to receive a monthly check. Sean, do you have any clue, and keep in mind this was back in 1940, how big that check would have been, keeping in mind that this program basically started in 1935, 1936?
I bet you it's something like $15.
Pretty close. $22.54. Now, adjusted for inflation to the year 2024, it equals $509.46. Ida lived to 100. So she was getting that check until she passed away at 100 years old. Because of when this program started, keep in mind she got the check in 1940. Do you think she put in $22 a month? Let's say
probably not.
Probably not. No. Here's the other side of it, though. When this program started, 37 to 40 people. I've heard two numbers in the last couple days. It was a 37 to 1 ratio, and I heard on a television news program that it may be 40 to 1. But I've been working with 37, so I'm going to stay with 37. I know I'm pretty safe there. 37 people funds one person on Social Security. That math works. Fast forward to today, it's 2.5 people to 1. Folks, the math doesn't work. It's just flat, not sustainable. Especially when you add in the factor that every day, somewhere between 12 and 14,000 people a day are turning 65. And those people are either have made decisions to take their Social Security early because they can retire early, or they're waiting until 65 or 67, and then they're going to take their Social Security, or maybe they're going to wait till 70. But the math doesn't work. So continuing with the history, October of 1950, they added COLA. So for about, 13 years, let's say, Sean, that benefit was the same. That lady who was getting $22 a month, it was $22 a month for 13 years. So it never went up. If inflation was rearing its ugly head, it never went up. Take a guess, though, when they added the COLA, what do you think, how much more benefit did they add? Any guess?
Probably, it's usually something like a couple of percent, so...
77% was that first COLA adjustment.
Really?
Yes.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, not much.
Yeah, right. So, but COLA was added. Then in 1956, they added Social Security disability income for those people between ages of 50 and 64, and they also allowed for early retirement at age 62. So at 1956, they made the adjustment to say, okay, it used to be age 65. We're going to let some of you retire early at age 62. I have no problem with any of this so far. they amended the disability rules in 1960 to allow for any age to get disability income. So if somebody was born with spina bifida through no fault of their own, it just happened, those people under the old rules would not have received any kind of disability benefits. Now that person with spina bifida can receive disability income benefits as a result of this 1960 amendment. 1961, they officially amended the Social Security Act to allow for age 62 to be allowed as early retirement. 1972 was the next time they touched the Social Security system, and they allowed for Social Security income for people greater than 65 or older, blind or disabled, low income. So what they did is they had a supplement, Social Security income supplement, for people that were older than 65 who were lower income, limited assets, and blind or disabled. So they not only did they potentially get disability benefits, but they were getting some extra. The next time they touched things, I did a lot of homework here, Sean. July of 1975, they adjusted the COLA to reflect inflation instead of the way they were doing it before. So the COLA kicks in automatically based on the CPI index. Prior to that, Congress had to make the decision to add a COLA benefit or not. So prior to 1975, if you were going to get a COLA benefit, it's because Congress checked off the box. If Congress said no increase this year, then you didn't get anything. In 1975, they fixed that theoretically and made the COLA adjustments subject to the CPI index. Now, Sean, what was the inflation rate in the late 70s, early 80s?
Oh, gosh, you were getting 17% CDs. So
yep.
It's pretty high.
Yep. In 1980, the beneficiaries received a COLA benefit of 14.3%. Now, that sounds really good, except inflation was running at 12.5%. All right, now, this is the big one, folks. April 20th, 1983 was the next time Social Security was touched. The trustees were telling the Reagan administration and Congress, hey, red flag, we're in trouble. If you don't do something, this thing is going to go bust. So as the story is told, Reagan and Tip O'Neill got together, who was the Speaker of the House, and they played let's make a deal, and the staff in Congress did whatever they were going to do. And they passed the Social Security Act amendment. I know I didn't write the name of it down here, but they shored up the Social Security system. They increased the payroll taxes. Oh yeah, this is something else I want to bring up. So Sean, what are you paying right now in your Social Security? Do you know? Not Medicare, just the Social Security piece. Do you know?
6.2%.
Exactly right, and the employer matches that. So technically, you're putting in 12.4% of your income between you and the employer into the Social Security system. When they started the Social Security system, any guess as to what the tax was then?
You got me on that one.
1%.
Wow.
1%. 1% for the employee, 1% for the employer. So technically 2% was going in. Now, in my history research here, I did not see whether or not there was an income limit like there is today. The income limit today, I think it's on my next page, is $176,100. So if you make more than $176,100 gross income, the next dollar that you earn, that 6.2% on both sides, employee and employer, folks, goes away. So you get a 6.2% raise for everything over that 176 number. That's today, in today's dollars. Let me see. The 1983 law, this is where the law got changed to have the graduated a full retirement age schedule that we currently live under today. So this law was passed in 1983. So what is that, about 51 years later? We're now faced with a similar dilemma that we have back then. I'm going to get to some thoughts about that here momentarily. They also assessed a 50%, the 50% of your Social Security was taxable if you made as an individual $25,000 a year. And again, keep in mind this is 1983, or $32,000 as a couple. Sean, that number's never been revised up until 1993. Then the revision in 1993, let me back up a second. 1998, Social Security established an 800 number. So 1993, the Clinton administration increased the tax from 50% to 85% for recipients who made $34,000 as a single and $44,000 as a couple, and that's the number that it stands today. So that number has never been adjusted for inflation. As far as I can tell in my research, if somebody wants to prove me wrong, knock yourself out, I'll be the first one to say, okay, I'll acquiesce to that. But if you're only making $44,000 as a couple and earned income, and you're getting Social Security as a part of that, boy, you're getting whacked from one side to the other. 1994, Social Security came out with their website. 1999, 125 million workers 25 and above start to receive statements. We're getting to the bottom of the hour. Let me just see what the clock says here, Sean. Hold on a second. Because my screen went blank, so I can't tell.
7:30.
7:30. All right, we got to go to break, folks. We're almost done with the history lesson, and Sean and I are going to kind of debate as to what we should do. I've got some definite ideas. These are just thoughts. Nothing's ingrained in stone, but something's going to have to give, folks. That being said, that's Sean Hauser. My name is Bill Miksch. This is your Insurance Corner at 101.5 FM, WLCB, Slade's Corner, Wisconsin. We'll be right back after these short messages.